Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Here's a Tik Tok comment about your Filipina and working. It says, do not have her work outside the home or hang with other Pinay. That's other women in the Philippines. So please subscribe here, Love Beyond the Sea. I've got lots of videos about foreigner-Filipina relationships, and this one was a good one. And I'll tell you what I know about this. Trying to find a decent angle here in the bedroom. There's a lot of sunlight coming in. I wanted you to see my wife's cactuses, but it's just too bright. So as far as the working outside the home, sometimes it's an issue of practicality, because she won't probably know how to drive. And if her husband is working and he needs a car to go to work, then she might not be able to work because she won't have a car. She may not know how to drive. And even if she did, he may need the car to get to work and back. When my wife started here, and she started working like immediately through a temporary agency, she was then able to start that with a little stint where I worked back in 2016. It was just 2 weeks, nothing guaranteed beyond that. But she worked so hard at this task, and they kept giving her more things to do, seeing how she responded, and then they hired her full time. I think she had to apply for that. And so that was great, and we were both driving. My boss let me come in an hour early so that our shifts would line up, which was very nice of him. And that was all very good for a year or so, and until she ended up working on second shift. And then we were talking about getting a second car, which we did, and she knows how to drive. But that can be an issue. Just simply, how is she going to get to work if I need the car? Another issue could be, and this man did not say what his reason was, could be negative influences possibly from the women out there, which could happen to anybody. But on the other side of the coin, she's going to need female friends, and that's a good opportunity for her to find somebody she clicks with, somebody at work. Now, a friend that my wife had early on when she got here, her husband moved, and she had to move with him, of course, and they're a little bit too far away, and they've got a bunch of children. And so my wife's been without a real female friend for a few years. Now she's got one at another company she's working in these days, and that's good for her. If I thought, well, hey, I married you, I want to be with you all the time, just you and me, that's not thinking about whether that's going to be good for her. Women, I think, need other women's company, but we're talking about good women here. I know most guys are concerned, well, I don't know who she's seeing over there at work, but those women could be a bad influence. If your wife has a good head on her shoulders, she's not going to allow herself to be influenced by, let's say, liberal Western women. She's probably not going to want to be around them like my wife. But if she can hit it off with somebody, I think that can only make your relationship better. If she's got a female friend, and where's she going to meet one? Well, work could be. Now, another advantage to working is, a few years ago, I think it was 2020, I ended up missing work because I wasn't well enough to work. And I thought, well, that's no problem. We'll go on short-term disability, long-term disability, whatever is needed, and go back to work. Well, that never happened. So my career was over after 40 years because I couldn't go back. They'd used up all my vacation, which I didn't know they were going to do. And if I had gone back, I'd had more than half the year to go with no time off and no energy to work, not in good shape. So that was that. But because my wife was working, she was able to, pick up the slack, and now we've got our own arrangement. I won't go into the details on that, but having a wife be able to work is huge, especially when she's paying for all of our health insurances, and that's not cheap. And she's paying for our house payment. That's not cheap. Cable bill, that's not cheap. Phones, that's not cheap. And she pays for whatever else she decides to just spend money on that isn't something that we might share, like food. If she buys a gadget or clothes or something, she pays for that herself. And she paid for her own car too, and got that all paid off. I'm taking $1,000 a month out of her checking account to put away for her next car, because I'd like to be able to have enough to pay that off in cash if we had to. And you never know if there's going to be electric vehicles mandated at that time, but they're more expensive, and I sure hope not. So there's advantages in her working. Obviously, again, if she's got a good head on her shoulders, she's not going to be influenced by the wrong type of men. Now, my wife has been asked out before on dates at work because, some guys don't know that she's married. And, of course, she's not going to go out with them, but they don't know. And, that doesn't bother me. It just means that they like her, they like the way she looks, and that's just the way it is if you marry a younger woman. But you do need to trust her. That's the bottom line there. About this hanging out with other Pinays, that's an interesting comment, because I have never heard of a Filipina saying, I can't wait to find that local Filipino community so I can spend time with them there. You might think, well, when I bring her over to my country, I'll find that local Filipino community or, center for people from the Philippines, and she'll get to know people and all that. And she's probably not going to want to do that. Why would I say that? Well, that's because of a couple things, and they're kind of related. And one is just competition. Competition. What is your husband like? What kind of car do you drive, or does he drive? What does he do for a living? What do you do for a living? What kind of house do you have? And so on and so forth. Where are you going on vacation? That kind of competition. And that just spawns gossip. So-and-so's doing this. So-and-so's doing that. And then, I don't know, I suppose they could try to keep up with the Joneses, which happens here in the United States when you see your neighbors, the Joneses, and they got a new car or a new fence or remodeled their kitchen or whatever. And then you start doing the same thing to keep up with the Joneses. And so that's, the gossip and the competition. My wife doesn't want to do that. And it's just not worth it. Now, I'm not saying that absolutely under no circumstances should she have Filipino friends. I'm not saying that. She may find some really good ones, and she's blessed if she does, but she may not even want to go through the trouble because of the known gossip, which is big in the Philippines. Of course, the Filipinos come over to the West, and they congregate and they gossip over there, and my wife has about a zero tolerance policy for that. So if somebody says something out of line, like gossiping or revealing something private, she'll cut them off for good. So she just doesn't like to deal with that stuff. So I hope that helps answer this question. It's not necessarily for this individual. It's to make a video here on Tik Tok addressing these things about a Filipina working outside the home, what could be good, what can be bad, and why she might not want to have a lot of Pinay friends in the West. So stay tuned, subscribe, and wait for more videos here on Love Beyond the Sea.